Welcome to yet another event by Hi TV. And today we are at WISTA Sri Lanka's panel discussion for International Women's Day, which focuses on how we as men and women can break the bias in business organizations. Come with me as we go through the proceedings.
That with the objective of improving gender equality, International Women's Day 2022 theme was launched as Break the Bias. Aligning with this year's theme, the Executive Committee of WISTA Sri Lanka took the initiative of organizing this event today. And at WISTA Sri Lanka, we are privileged to have ladies who are always willing to extend their support to young professionals. Now, I would like to call upon a special individual who is a prime example of this saying.
It's my pleasure to be celebrating the International Women's Day with the theme Breaking the Bias in the presence of all of you. As the whole world is celebrating women in the month of March, it's important to reflect about our industry and the role played by women. Women representation in our population is a staggering 52%, and sadly, these numbers are not reflected in our industry. As in the shipping and transportation industry in Sri Lanka, women representation is mere 3%. It is estimated that it will take 136 years for the world to have gender equality. Before COVID, it was estimated 100 years. And post-pandemic, this number has risen up. It is because women are overrepresented in sectors heavily hit by the pandemic, such as hospitality and food service industries, further deepening the crisis.
It is indeed my honor to address you all today, not as CASA chairperson, not as WISTA founder, but as a woman, as a colleague, and as a friend. Every year, as we celebrate Women's Day, I find myself reflecting on how far we've come as women, and not only in the workplace, but also in society and at home. I've attended many panel discussions on women and the issues surrounded, and many discussions. And I feel we have all sufficiently heard enough about this year's theme, Break the Bias, and also the ways in which we can do this at the workplace. We all know this. Companies and employers are more aware of all the formal ways in which equal opportunities can be created. And giving equal opportunity in recruitment, selection, being fair in opportunities for training and development, and also in promotions, being mindful of the gender pay gap, and also women representation on boards, and so on.
Dr. Jayamanda, I would like to ask from you, be the voice of the gentleman in the industry, and how would you define a professional woman in a workplace?
Either professional men or women, they should possess certain type of qualities in order to become a career or professional person to get built up and to go to the next level. Now those fundamentals are universal, whether it's a lady or gentleman or boy or girl. Once you have these capabilities built with you, then you could think of what is the next ball game, how I'm going to move to the next level. Now moving to the next level, before moving to the next level, why most of the people can't get into the initial breaking into the professional life, they lack either technical competency or either they were not given enough chance to build the competencies which are required. Those are societal issues. Sometimes the issues which are generated inside your house or in certain cultures or in certain societies. Once these things are eliminated, or once these things were open up, then the person will be able to have the technical proficiency to become a professional in any industry.
I'm truly honored to be with all these very strong women who are just the 3%, right? 3% of this industry, which seems to be sort of male dominated. The financial services industry, which I come from, is less so, but you don't really find lots of women at the top. I think I may be one of the few chairpersons of banks, if not the only one. I'm not too sure. I think I'm one of the few currently. So it's great to be here. I think I like to start off by saying that I think somebody mentioned that to achieve gender parity globally, it's going to take about 150 years plus, right? It was a few years ago, it was 200 years. So I think COVID did something positive. Lots of women came out, and but it's still many years away. So if you look at boards in Sri Lanka, we need 500 more females on boards in listed companies to achieve gender parity in Sri Lanka. So 500 more people. There are only 9.3% of female board directors in Sri Lanka. That's very low compared to the global standard of 17%. 17% is also very low, but we are especially low. As people said, there are individual women. I think she rightly said there are exceptional women. The glass ceiling has been broken many years ago, right? So we've had the first Prime Minister. We've now had head of IMF, heads of countries. We've had the lady who climbed Everest. So I think the glass ceiling has been broken a long time ago, but there is still a problem, right? There is still a big problem. So we need to change the conversation from how do we break the glass ceiling to what is happening in between.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I don't see myself as a woman. From where I come from, we believe in consciousness, and consciousness is formless. I may happen to be in a female body today. I may happen to be a mother, an HR leader, maybe a daughter, a wife, a sports person. I'm not a sports person, but I'm saying various roles that we may play. But that should not define who I am. And what I want for myself and for everyone is basic respect. Like Aruni very well said, right? Should not the economic background or ethnicity or nationality or sexual orientation, should not define who you are. Your definition should be at a very deeper level, wherein you are respected for who you are and you can bring your whole self to work to every aspect of life.
I will define myself as a non-judgmental, creative, capable individual who's self-motivated and who has a lot of compassion and empathy for people. More than a woman, I would like to define myself as a human being, because as a human being, I have more freedom. As a human being, I can reach out to more people. I will have more opportunities, more choices and more possibilities. I can serve to more people than as a woman. And in my eyes, gender is an obstacle. Because gender as a social construct, it expects us to behave in a way that the society wants. So, naturally, that creates a competition between men and women. With my 44 plus years of life experience, I would say there is no man superior to a woman and no woman is superior to a man. We are both equal. There are biological differences, as everyone said. As women, we have our ovaries and we produce eggs. As men, they have their testes and they produce sperm.
When I started 26 years ago, there used to be 3 women in a room like this in the industry, and it's been amazing to hear the stories and to see these faces. And listening to both your keynote speaker and your chairman, I think the women in this room have come a long way in understanding bias and understanding some of the obstacles that are out there. At JKH, I've been very privileged. I've never felt that I was a woman, and it's a meritocracy. We don't have owners or anything, so if you're good, you go ahead. We used to recruit, and we still do recruit, more than 50% at a junior level. But when you look at our senior numbers, it's very, very small numbers of women who are at the top. So in the last 2 years, and I'd like to share, what we did, and we're still on this journey, so I can't say we've succeeded totally, but I'll tell you what we did in a scientific manner. As a company, we recognized we have a problem. We have more than 50% of our Sri Lankan talent being female. If we do not bring them into the organization and get them to contribute towards our economy, we're not using the best of our talent, and we're not doing justice to the economy that we're trying to grow. So we looked at what we need to do as an organization. We started measuring where the leaky pipeline was, and we started putting in a few things that deals with self-esteem, that deals with maternity, that deals with motivation. And because we recognize that whilst the job was about competency, there are some inherent differences between men and women.
Dr. Prasanta Jayamana. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good, really great.
Can you elaborate a little bit about how, as individuals, we can break the bias irrespective of gender, mental health, color, religion, race?
The stereotypes and perceptions are impediment for growth. And what I see over here with this WISTA event, that they are setting a trend for other women to also come out and show that in a male-dominant industry, how they could take things into their hand, control into their hand, not to compete, but to have the fair share and to be a part of the journey. And I'm happy about it. And as Sri Lanka Ports Authority, we always advocate the equality and unbiasedness. And over here, I'm happy how they are doing it. And
Thank you so much for your insight, and I hope you have a really good time tonight.
I'm hoping to have a good time. I'm surrounded by a lot of ladies, and it's always better and nice to be surrounded by smiling, enriched, professional women.
I have with me Dilmi. How are you feeling today?
Very good. How are you feeling?
Great as well. Thank you so much for all the insight that you shared on mental health and how all of us should openly speak about it. How do we as individuals normalize this conversation in corporates or business organizations?
It is a very good question. When it comes to mental health, it is a very rarely talked topic in our country, so we have very lack of awareness and huge social stigma. And in other countries, like most of like Western countries, there are role models who come and open up with their experiences. They say like, I was depressed, I was bipolar, and that is how I felt, how I overcome that. So they share things. But the best thing is there is a lot of awareness needs to happen in our country. At the same time, I mean, like, people have to open up and they have to say, look here, I'm not feeling well. It is okay to feel not feeling well, right? You know, and openly share that. Because if you have a heart attack, cancer, you open up, you share that with people. If you have a mental disorder, you hardly speak. Right? So we have to, like, you know, develop that culture where we openly talk with each other and express ourselves.
In terms of the initiatives that you've been a part of in Sri Lanka, can you elaborate a little bit further for everyone at home?
Sorry?
In terms of the various initiatives in terms of mental health in the organizations that you have been part of, can you maybe let everyone at home know a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have my own organization called Serenity. There I give service to the general public, so they can come when they have a problem. There are counseling services and psychotherapy. There are mindfulness therapies, like specialized one, couple therapy. I mean, like, people can reach out to us and we are there to support. There is a team of, you know, professionals with us.
How are you feeling tonight?
Thank you. I'm actually feeling very humbled and honored to see the number of passionate and talented women in the logistics and maritime sector in Sri Lanka. So I'm thrilled to see this.
Can you maybe elaborate a little bit about John Keel's contribution to break the bias in the Sri Lankan society or the Sri Lankan corporates?
So with JKH, and I've been there for 26 years, it's very much a meritocracy. And we've had a very equal playing field policy that we've had for years. But despite that, recently we've realized that despite having a non-discrimination policy and equal opportunity policy, we're not getting anywhere in terms of increasing the women at the leadership level. We're having a lot of women joining us, but there is a leaky pipeline somewhere. So we started to measure, and we've put in a series of efforts that we hope will stop this leaky pipeline. Part of it's internal targets, part of it is mentoring. There are parental policies, there are increased maternity and paternity leave, mentoring for women that are going through certain hurdles in their professional career. Even things like pledges, and now we're exploring employer-supported childcare. And we're hoping, it's a journey, we're hoping that these will make a difference.
So, just for everyone at home, I would like to know what your advice would be as individuals for us to really break this bias and normalize conversations, taking into consideration, no discrimination policies.
I think for me, who's gone through this, almost at the end of my career, the internalization of this was realizing that there was a problem. Yes, I've made it to the top, but I realized I'm an exception, and a lot of women do not have the support systems that I did, and are not working in organizations that have supported them the way John Keel says for me. So realizing that we have a huge percentage of our educated population not making it into the workplace is an issue. And once you realize that, and you realize that we can make a difference to our economy, to our country by changing that very simple thing, I think that's a big realization.
With me, Sujani. How are you feeling tonight?
Excited. I'm very happy that we did an extremely successful event. This is the largest event for WISTA for the year. So we have had a very successful event, and we got 200 plus participants, because it is also that people were like waiting to, we had a lot of long break because of the COVID. So we really wanted to have a really good event for the women and the men in the industry, so they can come and then, be part of it and then share the ideas and etc.
Can you share a little bit of information about WISTA and all the women empowerment that you do and breaking of the biases for everyone at home?
Yeah, it's a great question. WISTA is about empowering women. And WISTA have been in Sri Lanka for last 7 years. Of course, it's a global organization, but we are part of WISTA Sri Lanka. Especially in the shipping and trading, we have a very small representation of the women, and then it's a male-dominant industry. Let it be ships, crew, or port operation, gantry operation, seafarers, and even in the offices, in the back office, it's a lot of men. So we kind of periodically try to do a lot of training and development, especially for young girls, college graduates, to come and encourage to kind of join the industry. Because it used to be like a very male dominant, as I said, but those barriers are slowly, getting better. Barriers are being removed. And we get a lot of support from our male colleagues as well to welcome female colleagues to the industry. And we have seen a lot of success in the past. So we are very happy about what we have done so far. But of course, it is not enough. But we, of course, embark the journey, and then we will go forward. And we get a lot of support and encouragement from all over, not only industry, but a lot of women in other industries. If you look at today's event, we have the chairperson of the HNB, a banking sector came, and President of John Keels have came and shared her input. And it's not necessarily the industry people get together. We also do a lot of cross-industry perspective sharing as well.
I have with me Kathy. How are you feeling tonight?
Wonderful. It's an amazing evening and an amazing audience.
So the focus of this panel discussion was how all of us could break the bias. With your experience in multiple corporates, how can we as individuals change the conversation?
It's a great question, because the change starts from you. So my suggestion is, be the change you want. You have to start with yourself on spotting the biases, calling them out, and then breaking them. Yeah.
So, since you worked in multiple companies in multiple countries, I'm guessing, what do you see that Sri Lanka is doing a little differently than other countries, or something we can be doing differently than in comparison to other countries to break the bias?
From the Maersk perspective, I can say that for us, Sri Lanka is doing very well. Like I said, it's one of the leading countries in terms of diversity itself. And some of the things that we are doing well is on the inclusion bit. So one is, getting the diverse talent in, but also to sustain it for such a long time, getting it to the leadership levels. And, most important is to work around the inclusion bit. So having a mixed group of people, male and female, working together, I think it does wonders, not just in your personal life, but also professional life.
I hope that all of you at home understood what all of us can do to break the bias. And that's a wrap. Nisri Guru Singha signing off.